meeting. Yeah, so about this program, the Cloud Computing Lab is one of 2 NDL programs outside of these general meetings. It's going to have around 13 workshops, all focused on cloud computing. And we usually meet on Sundays, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. in E203, which is this room. The general meeting today, we started at 7 p.m. So it happens 1.5 hours before this meeting. And all majors are welcome. You'll get to learn about the bigger picture of the tech ecosystem. And yeah. So some logistics about the program. Workshops will take place once a week, and it's not going to happen during break or finals, of course. And most of the resources are going to be on Discord, and you will have to have your laptops because we're going to be doing a lot of hands-on stuff. And the meetings will be recorded, and all other resources will be in a group chat. We'll have more information about this in the slides after. Yeah, so some of the goals of this program. Cloud computing is definitely one of the most important skills that any data scientist, software engineer, or any technologist should know. And it's usually not taught in classes. So some of the goals of our program is to get hands-on experience, build some projects, and get the chance to take a certification exam towards the end. And we're going to be learning Azure specifically, which is a cloud provider. And these are just some of the organizations that build their infrastructure on Azure. As you can see, Penn State builds on Azure. eBay, Adobe, LinkedIn are all companies that build their infrastructure on Azure. And here's just a quick outline. We'll have this information sent out in an email later too. So as you can see, week 1, that's today. That's our intro. Week 2, we're going to be going over some of the basics of virtual machines and compute. And then week 3, we're going to go over databases, scaling, serverless. Week 4, we're going to go over file storage and Docker and Kubernetes. Week 5, we're going to go over queues, publish, subscribe, Redis, and other databases. And then towards week 6, that's going to be towards the end of this semester. So we're just going to do some review. It's going to be pretty chill. And then starting up next semester, that's going to be week 7. We're going to go over big data tools, Internet of Things, which is really fun, mobile. And then week 8, we're going to go over business intelligence and analytics. And then week 9, we're going to go over networking, security, and IAM. Week 10, we're going to go over DevOps and governance. Week 11, it's going to be monitoring, AI, and machine learning. Those are really fun too. And then towards the end, we're just going to start preparing to take the certification exam. Yeah, so let's go over some of the basics of computing first. So before we start, does anyone have any ideas on how the web works? Feel free to shoot out some ideas.
Magic.
It is pretty magical. Anyone else have any ideas? That's right. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So the way the web works is we have a computer, right, or some machine, right, and then we have another machine, right. So in this example, that could be your desktop computer, right, and then the thing on the right could be a server, right, and your machine sends a request to that server for information, right, and that server returns some information back, right, and then this process is repeated several times, and that's basically what the web works like, right? So for example, right, your browser would make a request to a web server, and then that web server would return HTML and JavaScripts, and those would render on your browser, and you would see a website, right? So that could be a basic example. So what's in a server? Servers typically have a CPU, which is the brain of the server, does all of the computational work. RAM, storage, and then other networking components that allow it to communicate with other servers. And that's basically what every server is made up of. So now let's introduce cloud computing. So before cloud computing existed, right, tech companies that might want to expose their software for other users to use, they would have to manage their own servers, right? Can anyone think of any problems that this might pose, especially for big companies? Any ideas? Yeah, go ahead.
Too many requests to be handled by maybe like too many requests to be handled manually, I guess.
You're on the right track. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Single point of failure.
That's part of the problem. Yeah. Go ahead. That's also true. Yeah. So those are all correct answers. So as the web traffic grows, right, the company is going to need to buy more servers, right? And the company will have to invest in IT personnel and cooling systems, electricity, and all of this surrounding infrastructure to keep these servers running, right? And as the web grew, right, companies handling all this physical infrastructure faced huge costs, right? Because as you can think of, you can't predict how many requests that company will have to serve, right? So it's like, it's very wavery, and this just leads to a lot of costs lost by the company, right? Because they not only have to manage cooling systems, electricity, physical location, right? They'll need a warehouse, right? And they'll need to find people who can run those machines. And all of this just burns costs. So that's where cloud computing comes in, right? With cloud computing, companies can get hardware and software resources when they need it without any physical provisioning. And they get it from cloud providers, right? These companies can access a whole suite of tools and services for research, application development, whenever they need it. And the best part is the IT, right? The personnel that manage the physical hardware, that's maintained by the provider, right? So the companies don't have to manage the hardware themselves. They don't have to worry about it. So this is the payment model of cloud computing, right? So on the left, you have a person that wants to use cloud computing. And on the right, we have Google Cloud, which is one of the big three cloud computing providers. So the way the pay-as-you-go model works is, let's say this person is asking, I need 5 Ubuntu servers with this amount of RAM, this amount of CPU, right? And then Google Cloud is like, okay, here, right? It'll cost you $6 per month to use these. You can use them as much as you want. And then as soon as you stop using them, we stop charging you. So what this means is you can have access to any amount of resources at any time for whatever use cases. So here's a great chart that wraps up the division of responsibilities. So let me show you some examples too. So traditionally, a software company would have to manage, networking, storage, servers, virtualization, everything all the way up to the actual applications that they want people to use. But with cloud computing, right, all the hardware stuff is managed by the provider, so that the software company, only has to worry about building their applications and the infrastructure supporting those applications, right? And then if we want to go even a higher level, we have a platform as a service, which helps you manage runtime and middleware. And then a software as a service, which helps you manage everything, right? So here are some good examples, right? Infrastructure as a service, that includes AWS, GCP, and Azure. We're going to be learning Azure, right? And then platform as a service includes Heroku, Netlify, GitHub Pages. If anyone has ever launched a website or anything before, this would be like dragging your website files onto their service, and they help you show it to the world, right? And then an example for software as a service would be Netflix, Dropbox, Microsoft Office. You just straight up use their service. You don't have to worry about building the application. Yeah, so who uses cloud computing tools? It's pretty much for all technologists, right? For developers, application developers, they can build their applications on it. For data scientists and data engineers, they can use cloud computing tools to process data, store data. And then for solutions architects, they can help build infrastructure for their company, right? So it's a really useful tool for all technologists. And then program members will have a good general idea of all the tools that exist in the cloud computing world by the end of our program. So let's get started. At this point, you'll have to have your laptops out because we're going to be doing some hands-on stuff. Okay, I'll give you guys a minute. Yeah, so to get set up, first of all, you're going to have GitHub. You can create and get a GitHub account with your student email, preferably. Through your student email's GitHub, you have access to the GitHub student pack. And on the GitHub student pack, you'll be able to get, if you sign up with Microsoft Azure with your student account, you'll be able to get $100 in free credits. And that's what we're going to be using during the program. If anyone needs help setting up, just let us know. Yeah, so when I signed up for the student's account, it took me like 2 or 3 days until they verified me. So that's why we want everyone to get set up, because next week, during next week's workshop, we're going to start building actual things. So you're going to have your account ready to go. Yeah, go ahead.
Azure is also available via software first. Let's say software first.
I think that's also true. Yeah. Yeah, we just want everyone to be like on the same page, right? We want to make sure everyone has credits available. Is everyone good to go? Okay. Yeah, and then besides that, we will have a GitHub repository that will have all the templates that we'll be using. And then besides that, feel free to chat and discuss with anyone who may have the same interests in cloud computing. And then the meetings will also be recorded. And I encourage everyone to explore more on their own outside of our workshops. Just don't use up the 100 credits too quickly because we'll be building stuff during the workshops. And about the certification, towards the end, we'll also have enough knowledge to get a certification. And this will probably be around mid-March of next year. And that's probably going to be when we're going to schedule the exam. Yeah, and the rest of the workshops will take place in this room, E203 Westgate, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. on Sundays. So that's 90 minutes before the meeting that would happen right now. And you can fill out this interest form, and we will send out an email with more details.
Which means that there will be conflict between this and the data subject.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to bring it up to us. Yeah.